involved meditation from the Kamala Rebbe. Just to bring us into the zone, so to speak. What I learned from the races, as we know, zone is good. Just stop for a moment, just open ourselves up and thank. Just thank the random things that come into our consciousness. Maybe 10 to 15 things, just thank. Just to open ourselves up, to recognize Ali Hita, Koga Seder, Hashem, Sababa. Just thanks, a couple of moments just thanks. Amen. Share with you something before we share the other something. That Be'ezras Hashem Yisbarach, we're going to see the room fill up from month to month, Be'ezras Hashem, and the Torah that we're giving over here is a Torah that's leading us into a new era. It's leading us into a new consciousness that we've been ready for. The truth is, we've been ready for this Torah for some time, and the Torah's been searching for us. So far, we're of the lucky few that have access to this Torah. Chazal Hashem, there's other people giving across this Torah as well. But right here, we're the lucky few that can hear what we can hear tonight. And Chazal Hashem, the younger race, you're very lucky. You're already starting chiyus and chizuk in your life. And the Balavayda, Uncle Freddy, the oldest in the group. So it's a deep sod. It's a very, very deep sod that we can share this together, and we have these two bookmarks and everybody in between. What we'll be doing is we're going to just bring a couple of different aspects of Adar and things that happened, a few things that happened within the month of Adar. And we're going to bring them together and try and come up with something real that can help evolve us. And as we've said before, we've said this a number of times before, that our goal is not to live a life where it's just still. We're here to do something. We're here to do something, as we mentioned yesterday, and I'll define my words, otherwise the person across the table with me will probably kick me. It's to be an activist, and it's to be in the world. That means as well, if there's a sofa, they can just in the house or go to work, however it may manifest itself. But there's an avodah of being alive with what you're doing. Being alive with what you're doing, and recognizing that every single person has something to do. Sometimes we forget this. There's an awe of searching for us. We speak about how we're looking for the Rabbanu Shalom. We speak about how we're searching for Hashem Yisbarach. There's this avodah constantly, we're searching for Hashem, we're searching for Hashem. But we have to remember, Hashem is searching for us. Hashem is searching for the one that's going to megala His light, and it's dependent upon us. Hopefully we'll see that a lot of the tzaddikim, their ikar avodah is to recognize that they, as Rabbi Nachman said, before he was nifter, Rabbi Nachman said that there hasn't been an neshama like me. I'm important. And to recognize it's not gaiva to say that I'm important. We have to live and recognize if Rabbanu Shalom has given us our neshama once again, I am important, and I have something to do, and I have something to offer, and the world is waiting for me. The world's waiting for me to do what I need to do. And unfortunately, it could be, I know that I heard it growing up a little bit. In yeshiva, we spoke about Yuridus Hadaris. It's time that we have to recognize, now we're speaking about, and we need to speak about Aliyas Hadaris. We've been drawing energy from our Sinai experience, and that's fantastic. But there is as well a future, and it's like I was talking to one of my kids, and we were speaking about Yuridus Hadaris, and I think Yuridus Hadaris. I look at my grandchildren; they're going to be nothing. They're going to be my nothing. Your great-great-grandchildren, they'll be rubbish. Nothing. You think about it. Oh, the previous Doros, they were so great. Now we're nothing. So My great-great-great-great-grandchildren, with nothing in nothings and nothings and nothings, they're going to be the worst of the worst. I think that's a little bit odd. I think it's a little bit odd, and I don't think it's healthy. My personal opinion, it's you read Hadars from Tzad of Anava to break the Gaiva, fine, but we're moving forward into unbelievable, into mamash, an unbelievable reality. It's happening before our eyes. We are part of it. Either we could choose to sleep, and remain asleep, or we could choose to be awake and recognize, if I don't do what I need to do, I'm just going to come back again until I recognize that I've got something to offer. And it's okay to come back again anyway, don't worry. You know, people speak about Gilgulim. It's good. I think people have heard me say before, I'm so happy that Rabbanu Shalom ate from that Adam Rishon ate from the tree. I'm very happy that Adam ate from the tree because I love the life I'm living with all my chaverim. We're amazing that we have each other. It's unbelievable that we can have each other, and we can live a good life, and we can make the life that we live. We can sit and we can learn Torah and Eretz Yisrael. The Elter Zaydas, they dreamed of this. The Gra, you know that we have one up on the Gra. Think about it, we have one up on the Baal Shem Tov, on the Shach, on the Taz. The Taz is your site. It was yesterday. So we have one up on them, that we're in Eretz Yisrael. Isn't that choshev? Isn't that so choshev that my little boy, that you can learn in Cheder what the Gedolim and the Tzaddikim wanted to learn and they couldn't get. Happen. Motzei Shabbos, we're meeting here. Let's go. Look at that, we're here. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that amazing? We have something to offer. We have to recognize and realize it. And when I'm speaking, I want you to know that my inner desire is that it shouldn't be words left vibrating in our mind. It shouldn't be words. Take action. Take action now. We read Nasa v'nishma. Why Naseh first? People ask this question very often. How can I fulfill my potential? How can I fulfill? I want to do something. And constantly we think and we have this cheshbainas and cheshbainas and cheshbainas. And some people live a whole lifetime of cheshbainas. I remember a story that comes to mind of my grandfather. My grandfather, Zichron Livracha, he used to tell and teach us stories. And in these stories, there are very rich lessons. And he learned this from these stories are from the great-grandfather. He used to tell over a story about two people. I think you must have heard this from Sabbath. There's two people, and they're sitting, and they've got a candle. And they're writing out the cheshbonos. You know, Yankel, he's got 6,000 chickens. 6,000 chickens. And these poor guys are sitting, and the other one, he's got 200 cows too. You know how much 200 cows must be worth? My gosh. And what about Shimon? Shimon has all the land around his mill. Are you serious? And his mill? And then what happens? The candle goes out. And they're too poor to buy another candle, so they sit there in the dark. My Saba used to say that this is an analogy. Sometimes we live a life where we have this candle and we're constantly looking out. And as we look out, the light from the candle is burning, and if the light from the candle is burning, the wax is melting, and if the wax is melting, how long can the candle last for? And some people look outside the whole life and then so whose choice is that? Where does that come? Whose choice is that? Is it my choice to constantly look and say the greenest grass on the other side? Or is it to recognize I always have to look within, and it's only coming from within? If a person wants to find out what's good for them, Nasa v'nishma, have a conversation, figure out what's good in their life, figure out what they're good at, what their good midos are, figure out what they love to do, and then do something. Spend a year, 6 months, do something. Take on, if a person likes maybe to experience plumbing, so spend a couple of months being an apprentice for a plumber. There's so many plumbers. An electrician, work in a law firm, work in sales. We have the opportunity to experience. And it's this opportunity to experience that gives us the insight into the recognition if we should be doing that or not. And it's like I have a friend of mine sitting in the room. He had to move jobs, and we're speaking about it today. And he was saying a couple of months ago he was worried to change job. He's been working in one job. He's comfortable. He knows about it. But then to make this change, to leave what he had behind, is scary. It's very scary, and it's very easy and it's very realistic that a manik can grab hold of the ankles, and as we're trying to come and fly, he's pulling us down. But that's why we have chaverim, manhidim. They push us, they give us that good kick up the tuchas to move. But nasa v'nishma, we have to be people of action to make those changes, and the world needs the changes that we have to offer. Nasa v'nishma. We'll understand afterwards, but first make those changes through speaking to somebody and figuring out what's good, and then go weiter. When we come to this month of Adar is truly profound. This month of Adar is truly profound. And if one thinks about it, we grow up and we're wearing our Santa Claus outfit on Yom Kippur, Yom Kippur, Purim. I've seen it, I saw the little kids, Purim is gewaldig. Little, or a Smurf. I saw this cousin wearing a Smurf, and he has 6 or 8 little Smurfs behind him. Wild. What happens? We have Adar, and we have Purim, and Purim is this time when we dress up, and it's wild. We get shikah. It's a crazy situation. So maybe we could stop to think for a moment that if all of this is going on, if all of this joking is going on, maybe there's there's something going on within this month, trying to reveal or unveil something to us. And Tachlis, if we start to understand this Chag, it's to understand this Chodesh, it's truly profound. This Chodesh is a profound Chodesh. We know Purim and Yom Kippur, but you see Halacha L'Maisa, the lots. What happens in Purim? It's Purim, Pur, lots, but when else do we do lots on Yom Kippur? There's many halachic correlations. But Tachlis is that on a certain respect, as we'll see, the Chasam Sofer tells us that the Kabbalah of Torah on Purim is a higher Kabbalah of Torah from Har Sinai. So there's something going on here. So let's try to make this month, this avodah of this month, to obviously to indulge and involve ourselves in an avodah to become something more than we are now. And to develop who we are, to be more of who we need to be. Again, take what you can from what we're going to share here. There's no wrong, there's no right, there's no good, there's no bad. It's all okay. Take what you can take and work with it. So Tachlis, when we come to Adar, as we said, first we'll just bring out some different elements. And then from those different elements, we'll bring it all together, But we could start with Adar. What is Adar? Adar, on a certain bechina, is the presence. Adar is about the presence. It's being in the moment. It's being present. The avodah of Adar. How can we come to this? Because number one, we can come to recognize that Chodesh Adar was the last month being in Mitzrayim. It's the last month being in Mitzrayim. And as well, it's the first month that was labeled by a name when we came out of Mitzrayim. So it's the last month and it's the first month. It's the last month that we were in Mitzrayim, and it's the first month that had its Shem, that had its name. And the Mekublim explain as well, in Tehillim we read, Rosh Dvarecha Emes, that your words, your first words are Emes, which is Rosh Teva Adar. So we've got the last and we've got the first. We've got the last and we've got the first. And Adar is as well called, the Imre Nam of Jikuf, he calls Adar the Machshava before the Machshava. Why? Because we know Nisan is what? When the world was created. It was created in Maisa. Nisan. And in Machshava, when? Tishrei. So Adar is the thought before the thought of creation. So we've got this idea of time, we've got this idea, the sandwiching. We've got the brackets of a beginning and an end and a beginning. The start and a finish. And it brings us, Adar is a space, it's a time period that brings us to the moment. Adar is a time period that brings us to the moment. Adar, we know as well, the Sefer Yetzirah tells us that the sign of Adar is the fish. And we know that the fish is related to the tzaddik. The fish is related to the tzaddik. We read Vayigdu Larov with Yosef a tzaddik. And as well, the fish, they're prosperous. We know by fish, they bring many. They're very prosperous. They bring many children into the world in one go. And it's the same with the avodah of the tzaddik. The Zohar tells us that the tzaddikim, they bring good into the world. So what they do, they bring mamash prosperity into the world. They dissolve the din to bring more bracha into the world. But this recognition of tzaddik and Adar doesn't just stay within the fish. Also, if we take, it's an amazing thing. Fish, Adar, is the gematria of 205, and the gematria of tzaddik is 204, plus the koilel 205. So Adar is as well b'china of tzaddik. And if you take shekel, we start collecting the shkolim. Shekel is 430, which is gematria tzaddik yisoid olam. B'china, Nefesh. So this recognition that Adar is related to the tzaddik. So we've got so far Adar and being present, Adar and the tzaddik on more than one level. As we know, bracha, the inyan of bracha, if you take the root of bracha is the bet, reish, kaf. Bet, reish, kaf as well. The Sfarim tell us, Rabbi Yaakov Abu Katsera has a beautiful piece on this, that it's the inyan being ribui. Bet is 2, kaf is 20, and then reish is 200. The tzaddik's called the bracha. The tzaddik is called the tzina of bracha. So again, it's bringing goodness and a lot of abundance into this world. What stops our growth? We'll discuss a little bit later, but Amalek wants to metzamsem, wants to bring din upon us. We'll explain technically how that occurs, Be'ezras Hashem. So we've got this inyan again, being present, being in the moment, and as well this idea of ribui with the fish, and that's related to the tzaddik, and we showed through a couple of gematrias this inyan of the tzaddik and Adar. But there's more than that as well. If you take the word Adar, what does the word Adar mean? Adar comes from the Lashon of Adir b'marom. So the word could be translated, Adar could be translated as strength, exalted, praise, power. And this is as well something which we'll have to tie in. Something that we'll as well have to tie in. So we have Adar as in strength, Adar connected to the tzaddik, and Adar being present. But as well we know Kim of a Kibru, the bechina of Ratzon. The Sfarim say that Adar is a bechina of Ratzon, that the Yidden chose. They chose to bring upon themselves the Torah again. So with these different elements, let's try tying them together. And let's see what we can do with it. I trust that each of you will do something with it that will be positive and powerful for you. The goal here is to live a greater life of devotus, a greater life of action. Be'ezras Hashem. So Tachlis, we can start to ask the question, what's the job of the tzaddik? What's the job of the tzaddik? We have this inyan tzaddik. A tzaddik is a person who is doing something to be called themselves of a certain name, and they have a very defined job. They have a very defined job. There's many different forms of tzaddikim. You look at the Noam Elimelech, all over the places. He brings different. There's a tzaddik that does like this, and there's a tzaddik that does like that. So there's different categories of tzaddik. But really, we can come to home in on certain character traits of the tzaddik. The tzaddik lives their life in a certain way. And what comes to mind when we think about the inyan of tzaddik? So what comes to mind is yichud. It could be yichud. It could be nice, loving. It could be fiery. It could be deep, wise. All these words that are drummed up in our mind. There's a certain set of qualities that this person lives within. We're told, though, something very interesting. We're told like this. We're told in Chumash, we're told in Tehillim, that we say in Hallel, that the Shamayim belongs to Hashem and the Aretz belongs to Adam. Yet we read in Devarim that Hashem is in Shamayim, but Hashem is also down here in the Aretz. So we see already, there's other psukim, we're not going to go into it now, but there's other psukim that really give this distinction. Hashem is up there and Adam is down here. But then we have these other psukim which come to show that no, Hashem is down here as well. The Tanchuma, the Medrash Tanchuma in Nassau tells us that Hashem Yisbarach, when created the world, wants to make a dwelling place down here for himself. He wants to come down, he wants to be down here. And the Zohar tells us that it's our job to create that space. It's our job to create that space. And with that we can come to this famous, wonderful, wondrous Gemara. Gemara in Chagiga. The Gemara in Chagiga tells us as following. The Gemara in Chagiga Yud Beis tells us there is one pillar that connects the uppers and the lowers. And who is that? The Tzaddik Yisayid Eilam. So the tzaddik lives with this higher purpose of drawing the upper down and the down up. And the Leshem in Sharei Leshem says, not Sharei Leshem, Sefer Adar, the Leshem says, I think it's Kuf Vav, that there should be a kiss between the Gashmius and the Ruchnius. The Gashmius and the Ruchnius, that the tzaddiks living a life where they're bringing together the heavens and the earth. They're bringing together, making that space that would otherwise be in two different places. They bring it together. And we invite the Rabbanu Shalom down. We invite Hashem Yisbarach into this world. And this is the inyan of Gilui Hashem. To Megala Hashem in the world. And by the Pilsner Rav, this was like the Ikar Avodah. Everything that we do in life, everything, wherever, whatever, however we are living, everything should be a Gilui Hashem. That should be on our consciousness the whole time. Am I being Megala Hashem right now? How am I being Megala Hashem? So even if a person's depressed, if a person's miserable, you invite the Rabbanu Shalom in. We've told over a number of times, many years already, the story, the Torah from Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach. He asks the question, why is it that we spend so long doing vidui? We spend so long doing vidui before Yom Kippur. 10 days, whatever it is, we're doing vidui. And before that, we're doing vidui. And then we come to Yom Kippur and we do another vidui. What's that vidui for? Another vidui? Why? So simple, so beautiful, and if we let it move us, it's so moving. All the viduis that we did before, all the al-chaitz that we did before, was because we did an aveira. But you know, my friends, what the biggest aveira is that when a person does an aveira, they leave Rabbanu Shalom at the door. So the vidui of Yom Kippur is saying, Rabbanu Shalom, I'm going to go through my chet again, but you know, I'm going to invite you in. Come on, man, it's a reality check. What's the reality? Who are we kidding? Just because I do something wrong, that's it?